Thank you all for coming here. I hope I've put together a letter that honors this great audience, and in particular the local members of the Phoneme Choir. Maybe I'll talk throughout, but I think we should just start here, and I'll explain more as the evening goes on. And the first thing we're going to recite is the cover. So you can now, as of now, it's official, you can judge a book by its cover. And in fact, if you're pressed, the cover's plenty, you don't have to watch it. As you will hear that. So they will open for us. This is Chet, Razel, and Leish Valley.
Hello.
Adada.
Booba.
Cos.
Cha. Cha. Chi. Cha. Cha. Chi. Ta. Cha. Ta. Cha.
Dar. Dwashta.
Ba. F. Fa. Fa. Za.
Gar. G.
Himle. Ori. Oa. Ui. Oa. Ros.
Juk.
Cora.
Lalelung.
Molohe. Ma.
Non his namene nui.
Ori mo people.
Pta. Pepi. O.
Qui. Qua. Quo. Quan. Sa. Sup.
Si. Tike. Tok.
Antika. Ankatakala.
Belben. Visel. Voivage. Vag. Vivas. Vat.
Verdu. Voi. Vivu. Vava. Vuvref.
Ixes.
Yam.
Ye, yo, yab, you, to whom, you, to whom.
Zo. Zitenezonen. Amulet, welcome to the amulet. I wish you well and you are well. It's a treat, but you are well. The rooster, the rosebud, the raspberry, the camel. Tell me what you can't show me. Anything you so you cannot own. It's not fair. It's only fair. Fairness is the problem. Mother Earth, materials and making things are indivisible. Nothing can be made of what we've made. All I make is yours. All you make is ours. Not even ours is ours. Unless there's another earth. Unless all that we'll ever leave behind other than this. Unless all that we make is made from something, then all we've ever lived behind. We depend. We come about. We open out. We fly all the way apart. When lost, radiate light from your eyes. You must meet a demon stronger than you. You must. To be safe. There's no way to stop suffering. So just stop. And live. Language never wrote native end. The structure of generosity is EVERYONE. A abundance demands it. Everyone, it's a perfect word. Thank you each and all roll into one, but just all of us. Protect at once sister cereal, companion pumpkin, ancestor seaweed, teacher topsoil, daughter dragonfly, and brother cobalt, grew grapefruit, and God sassafras. Safeguard flesh and blood, photon, professor, smile, parent, pink fairy, armadillo, Dr. Yellow Dwarf, Mr. and Mrs. Milkweed, clear blue and great great grandma Gas, truthful turkey, tail mushroom, cool cuttlefish, hatch off the 10 times as many bacteria freeloading in one's belly as cells that make up the entire body. This everyone.
Yay!
Thank you.
I don't write books, so I have a lot of explaining to do. And it's, first, it's a matter of being immensely grateful to Michael and Tom, who came to me and said, we'd like to publish a book of yours. So, and my first response is, what do you mean? What would it be made out of? Could you walk inside of it? And it's true, I've written my way through life, but it's very different than writing books. What I've written has always been situated, notes for a talk, or a lecture, a preamble for an exhibition, a preliminary letter for a board of directors, or something like that. So it all gets written down, but never with the perspective of it forming this one thing. So it really took, and also it's because, for me, my perception was that publication and poetry reading and how poets go about what they do is part of the problem, part of the limitation that we live under. So I've been extending that as well as I can for a couple of decades or more, and that's what the book is about. But it was really Michael and Tom who saw that this could, be put together somehow. So it's really their vision of the book, and it's as much theirs as mine, and in how they're extending what a book is, where it can go, what kind of damage and delight it can do. So I'm immensely grateful to them for that. We put together, it's been evolving over the last hours even, the libretto. I've been working from librettos for the last 5-6 years mostly when I present work. And they're about kind of dense phonic material that tends to correspond with various bioprocesses, mixed in with financial prescriptives, economic justice, things like that, and then language as cosmogony. So we wrap that into one kind of thing. We don't even ask that it work. There's chances are this won't work, but really I don't like holding what I do to something that it's a limitation. Things got to go well, it's got to fit together, things like that. So we'll just start with what I put together. And Daria is going to help. A term came in, so I'm going to say, by way of introduction, the ubiquitous dividend.
Ubiquitous dividend.
And maybe just because I wanted to hear Daria try to say that.
Ubiquitous dividend.
That was French.
That was
Dividend.
heavy French twang. So we're starting there. It's kind of, it's about that. And it was the word that was left after the book was finished. The way a book leaves a clearing that excludes itself, and there that was. It was the last entry in the book. Went in the glossary. It doesn't even appear in the book.
Ubiquitous dividend.
I never knew this sentence about French.
Ubiquitous dividend.
Ale ma da da bada cause com cha cha chit cha cha chwa dar darn wash m ba m f f a da ga gar gar ga halin ma wet who hyap wa ya thum yos chwak Where knik, clay ain laudug, mlu mo matma, nun zname ne nui, ori mo peo papata pe pio, quai quar cum sa sus geta tak, untunk, uncolunk, velv, vivs, voyage, vague. Vivas fat. Wene wikio wa dress. Yum. Yay, yaw, yipe. You to whom. Ziozo, zeote. Cause, com, cha, chen, chit. Down, wash,
Knick, 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 klein, ma, non dis namene nui ori, mon béo, paps ha pepio. Sa sus klick tack tack en tang val Wele ye ya ye you to
Re-English provides hegemonic English with new inherences, priming and open-handedness that can disclose duplicity, transmute the mercenary, and heal through unexpected euphemism. Shouldn't you be being paid? Be being paid for something? For being at all, at every turn? Financialize ontology in favor of the borrower. Shouldn't you be reimbursed for rotting away? Isn't this enough to have paid in? The phenomenal world is a publicly owned enterprise. In contradistinction to the ubiquitous gouge and the begrudged dividend. Seulement seul et cela assez.
Seulement
All wrong,
et
adapt, excel, et en.
all
All calm,
wrong,
all wash,
excel,
ajar,
et en.
alarm.
All
Wash, ajar,
ajar,
alarm.
afar,
Ajar, almost, wallow.
alarm, afar,
Seulement seul et cela
almost,
assez.
wallow, seulement, seul et cela assez.
It's a poem of the perineum, and mixed in with this libretto are terms from the glossary in the book. Like perineum, door of uncontrived being situated between anus and genitals. Perfect propinquity are major neuroendocrine organs flowing and patterning atop the pulsatile voice box.
And what might you be?
This means what it might. I don't know how to not nurture.
Welcome.
I am re-English to the subsistence pick.
Let us let
us let
long
let us let
live livable,
long live livable.
bowing down,
Us let
bows before,
let
bowing down,
syllable.
Let us let.
Bowing down, bows before, bowing down.
Shall we say?
Let us let us let.
Long live.
Shall we say
livable, part of
what is
said is what?
can't be said? Shall we say part of what is said is what can't be said? Normally there's 30 of us doing this. And
Or 30 of us.
And additionally, I can't sing. So. But it returns it to kind of where it came from, the intimacy of the unstruck, where it just arises. But even to transfer this to the composers in the choir and the actors and singers, it takes me 3 weeks to get my voice in place. I can do that. And even then, they're like, what was that? And additionally, the last month and a half I've been in southern Minnesota looking after my father who can't hear. So I haven't said anything for about a month. Here I am. So it's rough. The voice is very rough. Name one crime we can't credit to our omission of the ubiquitous dividend. Name one scourge, one curse, burden, or blow, had we but basked in the ubiquitous dividend. The largest stock owner in Europe is Norway's government pension fund. It derives its financial backing not from potential pensioners paying in, but from the country's petroleum sector profit. 3 times the size of the California Public Employees Retirement System is so powerful, its shareholding so ethical and activist, that it can pressure global corporations, even entire countries, to ban munitions production or comply with human rights, labor, and environmental standards. Let only the Federal Reserve function as an investment bank. Its profits, now magnified, will flow as always to the U.S. Treasury itself, already acting as the only financial management firm and proprietary trader allowed by law. That would take care of it. It was done actually in Costa Rica between their 1948 Civil War and say the early 80s when the IMF came in. The public sector paid for the public sector. It's not hard to realize. Yes. David's helped us reify the ubiquitous dividend in some way or another.
Ooh, ubiquitous dividend. The gerundive song 1. Oh, 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 future perfect passives are not called gerundives, and I'll be being called gerundives too, and I'll be being called gerundives too. Now if the words sound queer and funny to your ear, and you are wondering what gives, just remember that future perfect passives are in Latin called gerundives. Future perfect passives are in Latin called gerundives, and I'll be being called gerundives too, and I'll be being called gerundives too. The gerundive song 2. Here's my song, for I am grammar, flowing for a moment through the fleshy note of fluency to stroke you with my wave. Impassive as a future passive particle, I'll be infixed, for the mystery of my morphology is how we reverse time for strangers, made in ought in just this way, or say that I'm gerundive, as wisdom doved into the homilies, as future passive will be done, turns deontological. So, Amanda, is the femme sing, one who ought to be loved. Propaganda's what we ought to propagate. Agenda is the thing we ought to lead. And legend is that which we ought pluck out. And the dividend thens from dividendum, what ought to be divided. God the housewife doles out the shares, and your hands ought to be hers. Here endeth my gerundive song.
Estrogen.
Can we start again?
Okay. Estrogen physiologically forms female to bring our planet back from the brink. Supple Science pleads that we now be led by maternal instinct. Supple Science's medium is resonance itself. Phonic sequence, tone, intention, connotation, tune, all directly influence neurohormonal functions. Levelly, valvular, soluble, yellowy, lovesome, noun, somnolence. Levelly, valvular, soluble, yellowy, lovesome, noun, somnolence. I'm so
valvular, soluble, yellowy, lovesome, non-somnolence. Levelly, valvular, soluble, yellowy, lovesome,
respiratory sinus arrhythmia, rhythmic recitation, for example, the dactylic hexameter of Homer, establishes respiratory sinus arrhythmia, RSA. Under RSA, heart rate increases during inhalation and decreases during exhalation. With each breathing cycle, RSA sinks alveolar ventilation and peak cardiovascular perfusion of oxygenated blood. Extra discordant heartbeats are eliminated as ventilation becomes more efficient. This variable lower breathing frequency, which is our birthright as we are born into this arrhythmia, though typically lost before adolescence, is the rhythm of full breathing and recuperation. Heart rate is one of prosity's key compositional elements. This was all happening in the Iliad and the Odyssey, in a circle, as they recited it together. Airs intoxicant. Were we to
Where we to
be before
be before
waves
waves
with
with trash.
What about
Would that we
all troubles dying out
as intoxicant?
in these words as they
Where
come?
we to be before waves with trash. What about?
All troubles dying out in these words
as
as they come.
Hum self-lit, shine on,
shine,
with names
named as name.
Consciousness
Consciousness
Is
is as close
as close
as will
will
come.
come.
That's one of the optative songs. Optative, the lost grammatical mood or mode of wanting, wishing, hoping, praying, regretting with your whole being, that register of human being that is questionably gone from English. We don't have, we can cobble together with subjunctives and conditionals a kind of optative, but it's a question whether even poetry can reach that level of being. So one of our characters in the choir, which in Brooklyn is called the choir, is the optative. It's a key player in the choir. Let's back up. Slow down. Does the ubiquitous dividend even exist?
Ubiquitous.
Can I actually mark the steps that lead to generosity as intrinsic? Don't want to force anything here. I am certain that it is intrinsic, generosity. And this certainty is my blindness. I also want it to be intrinsic, and the wanting adds to the confusion. Intrinsic adds to the confusion. Remove the preference, remove the predisposition, remove the law, remove the right, remove the impulse, and remove the intrinsicness, and the ubiquitous dividend is there. You have my word, but only as a starting point. Now think it through. Think through distribution. And this something that remains after all the conceit is removed, which has been for 2,000 years essentialized as love and compassion, while the world out there objectified, and we, as you and I, confined ourselves in ethics and salvation. What must it now be known as in order to not fail us? To no longer isolate itself in the practice of itself, to include and treat what's ailing us, the phenomenal world, productivity and distribution, all of poetics, what we live with, if not a modernized, materialized mudita, industriously delighting in the good fortune of others, parenting each other, sparing ourselves the next thousands of years of the real, the representational and enactive research, the ubiquity of information, the reward circuitries, the austerity of reversions to subsistence, commons, and obligated gift giving. Drop all practices, any perspectives, perception. Drop the innate, the crystal clear, the inherently misanthropic charity, and wait in the helplessness of having become the power of all manifestation. Stay in your reverse incubator until then. There's also a character, Thrasymachus, in the choir. 5th century sophist who Greece was changing radically at that time. So the orators were kind of taking over the stage, the public stage. And there was this vacated melody called the paean that they took over because they thought it wasn't not currently being used. So Thrasymachus kind of spoke in this very stilted kind of beat. And He appears in Plato's Republic. He's mostly known for that, but he's really the first, he's the grandfather of justified greed. That's all you have to know tonight. Like, he said it from the start. Very convincing. We still haven't unconvinced ourselves yet. I'm still here. I'm always still here. Not so much immortal, more recurrent or chronic. I'm Thrasymachus, really sophist, renowned for adding rhythm to oratory and equipping emotion with gesture. I'm Thomas Hobbes, Ayn Rand, Yang Tzu, Angela Merkel, Ubermensch, and Paul Ryan rolled into one. Persist in injustice long and wide enough, and it will become the common good. Don't pluck a hair from your body for me, and I won't pluck a hair from my body for you, and the cosmos will purr perfectly on its own. I speak to strike down once and for all the notion that power should ever be a means for servicing the lives of the less fortunate. It took me until 1964 to finally defeat Socrates in debate. R. Reagan, promoting Barry Goldwater, quoted Plutarch, plagiarizing me. The real destroyer of the liberties of the people is he who spreads among them bounties, donations, and benefits. Inequality is organic. Inequality is fair. Equality is more punitive than a tax. Amass enough money to withhold from others for their own good. This is responsibility. You're in my thoughts and prayers. I just can't forgive all the money you owe me. Original sin is the privatization of altruism. The cracks are there to keep the helpless and fallen from hitting bottom.
Oh, that would, but, that the might, that would, that, but, be that would, that, with a heart that in an instant cannot, what would, and just.
She's the operative contrast. You can't win if you're
that would,
all
but,
alone.
that the might, that
Subject,
would,
fight,
that,
fair,
but,
fighting
be
for fairness,
that would,
while
that,
the truth
with
is
a heart that
beating others.
in an instant
The deeper one's
cannot.
hand in the rules, the
what
nearer to truth.
would
Justice
and
is the unjust reigning
just.
laws for their own advantage, for the good of all.
let's at least try to form a sentence. For if I happy, don't and I wish. If only we had but once thrown down our arms, oh, deformed arms in fast finance, had profit only over our dead bodies, we might have been sentient. I don't insist. That's a separate matter. I beg.
It's as if what you're asking, as it is asked, is the only force potent and fitting enough to realize all that it asks as it asks.
Just as we should all have all the money we need, why wouldn't these words take effect immediately?
That would be counterfactual.
Not in this book. As you can see, this book is not a book.
And as you can see, who played the operative in the last performance? Their mean men point. I'll just read the glossary entry. there's a Ming-Men point, a diamine point located between the second and third lumbar vertebrae. The Ming-Men point is also called the door of life, door of fate. The original energy of all creation flows through this point to instill one's depletable portion of the infinite, igniting a flame between the kidneys that will burn for a lifetime. Concentrating on the Ming-Men cauldron replenishes and prolongs finite life force. Ming is basically a mandate from heaven as creativity. Align personal action and heaven. Let spirit guide matter and bring effort and effortlessness into balance. A heart emptied of the world is filled with spontaneous affection. Ming-Men Tan Tien, fountain of youth. So this is the Ming-Men song. T, 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 ha, 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 To my knowledge, all contending post-scarcity scenarios count on exponential increases in the capacity of technology, not beneficence. History needs to keep generosity rare to make it as valuable as possible, as this leaves untreated our hyper appetite, soaked in fear of indigence, informed and inflamed by the underlying lethality of the body. A flush toilet improves nothing if the earth can no longer absorb our negative emotions.
Just a second. e, te, a, sa, e, o,
Oxytocin. Empathy reduces inflammation. That was oxytocin. Mixed with Kukai's, the first poem in Japanese, which is a panagram using each syllable of the syllabary once only to make a perfectly fluent poem. Mixed with oxytocin, natural fluorine. Oxytocin, empathy reduces inflammation. Oxytocin is a 9-amino acid neurohormone associated with birthing, befriending, bonding, breastfeeding, lowered stress response, wound healing through heartening social interaction, non-manipulative behavior, lordosis, loyalty, group cohesion, ethnocentrism, emotional addiction, and calm in the face of life-altering events. Pulsatile neurohormonal secretions are produced primarily by the hypothalamus that rests directly atop our vibratory vocal apparatus while enveloped by the undulations of thought wave. So there's this like piano at the roof of the mouth is. There are 84 points there that we touch and trigger that regulates metabolism, and say many other processes too. Would that we were safe. Would that we were speechless again. Would that we were so that suffering doesn't freeload on phenomena.
So that
would that we were
safe,
speechless again.
So that suffering,
so that mispronunciation is not sickness. Had we only heard
the
sound
of the
door